Back in 2006, when I first read Tony Kuiper's original article on luminosity masks, and before he'd created his first TK panel, it was necessary to make luminosity masks by hand. Imagine if before you could make a curves adjustment in Photoshop, you had to understand the related math and then build your own curves adjustment tool each time. That's kind of what it was like. Back then, knowing how to make the masks was just as important as knowing what to do with them. Because of this, a significant portion of my past luminosity mask courses had to be spent teaching people how to create the masks and the underlying mechanics and theory behind them. Even with the early versions of Tony's panels, I continued to teach how to make masks because only parts of the process were automated. In current times, mask creation, modification, and application with the panel have improved to the point where it's no longer necessary to learn everything that's going on under the hood, and that's a win for artistic creativity. When it comes to the tools and adjustments in Photoshop, most of us want to be able to use them smoothly and creatively without interrupting our flow. Kind of like I imagine a lot of painters just want to create their paintings without having to know exactly how paint is made or needing to build paintbrushes by hand as they go. If you're someone who is interested in learning how to create luminosity masks by hand anyway, Tony's original written tutorial is still available on his website. I've included a link to it in the additional resources document. You can also search back through some of my older luminosity mask videos on my YouTube channel, which I've also linked to. And there's a lot of other videos on luminosity masks that you can find on YouTube if you dig around. If you aren't already good at using the TK panel, that's the best way you could focus your time right now. Proficiency with the panel will allow you to generate, modify, and apply pixel-based masks as smoothly and creatively as you incorporate any Photoshop tool or use other image editing applications that you're good with. At the time of recording, I'm using the TK7 version of the panel, so that's what I'll be teaching with, and that's what will make it the easiest for you to follow along. However, the TK panel is always evolving, and it isn't practical for me to create entirely new courses every time the panel changes a little. So if you're watching this from very far in the future, you may have the good fortune to be using an even newer version of the panel. If that's the case, I'm jealous because I bet it's awesome. And even though things may look a little bit different in that new panel, I'm sure all of the necessary functions are there, and knowing Tony, they're even easier to use. Now, if you use a luminosity mask panel that isn't made by Tony Kuiper, you should still be able to apply all of these concepts, but since I don't have experience with other panels, I'm not able to help you figure that out. If you aren't using the TK7 and you don't know your current panel well enough to be able to transpose these techniques, then that should be your first order of business. Work on getting good with the panel you have, and then circle back to this course when you're ready.